true to what you said on paper.
I wish that I could freely dream and be judged from within, hunted by a power that cannot see past my skin. My views are viewed as ignorant, my truth always denied. My history is shrouded in a spider web of lies. Isn't this America? Or is this America all a lie?
Of the freedom of speech, somewhere I read. Of the freedom of press, somewhere I read. That the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
I cannot pledge allegiance to a country built on lies, or raise my children to believe they're equal in its eyes. My leaders are assassinated for speaking their mind. So justice never tilts my way. I thought that she was blind. Isn't this America? Or is this America all a lie?
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop.
I am Denise Tapina-Reed, co-host of At the Round Table with MAMLEO, a Massachusetts Association Minority Law Enforcement Officers Incorporated broadcast, and we greatly appreciate our sponsors. John B. Cruz Construction Company, 1 John Elliott Square, Roxbury, Massachusetts, third generation, family-owned, founded in 19...
You say to America is be true to what you said on paper.
Oh.
That's a cue.
Listen, it's just like, I see people texting in there like, oh, the light turns, right? So Pastor Hobbs got me with the red light there. He set me up. Good one, brother. Good one. Goodness.
Ooh, that's just because they're all from the microphone. They were in front of the microphone.
The what?
The headphones cannot be near the microphone. It's how you create a new feedback.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's go for it. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to At the Round Table with MAMLEO, folks. Oh,
Yeah, try this.
I apologize. We're having some technical difficulties here this morning.
Well, maybe
Plug that in there.
bring down the volume on the headset.
Yeah, plug that one in here.
Okay, that's
Do it that way. We know this works.
okay.
It's just a matter of which of the other ones don't. There we go.
Yeah.
Little bit of technical difficulties. Appreciate your patience while we work this out. We'll get there.
Okay. All right. I can.
Better?
Yeah. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
There we go. We got this. We got this.
All right.
Teamwork.
Yes.
I love that shirt. The vote removes stubborn stains.
Stubborn orange stains. That's right.
Wait,
It's
where'd you get that shirt?
today's election day. I have to get you one.
Yeah.
We gotta. Oh, this is what we're gonna remind everyone.
Yes, yes. Beautiful
All
reminder.
right.
Yeah.
Good. So, folks, again, we're going to start from the beginning. Good morning. Welcome to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. I'm your host,
Happy
Larry
Saturday.
Ellison, in studio with the family. To my right, Helen is back here this morning. I thought she walked in because I didn't see her car.
At this rate, I might as well have.
Maybe she
Yeah, I didn't see
spent
the car either. So I
yeah.
was like, oh, no, that was
And Brother Rhodes is with us this morning. Good morning, Brother Rhodes.
I know, and I'm sitting in
The
the
Rhodes Scholar.
coveted chair.
Yeah, the
Filling
doctor is
big
is
shoes.
out today.
He's all right though. He's all right. Just dealing with
yeah,
some
he's
stuff at
good.
home.
Exactly. Some
Yep.
maintenance.
Exactly.
Maintenance issues.
Better to find it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely.
I found a bird nest in my dryer vent yesterday. It's like, oi, good thing that, yeah, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
They could have caused a
On
fire.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry, birdies, can't live there.
Eviction, definitely. And we'll say good morning, Pastor Hobbs. How are you, sir?
I'm hanging in there by the grace of God.
I know you're over there trying to figure out what's going on here with the.
Like we said, God can only give us what we can handle.
So, folks, if you're hearing,
Right?
so while we have you there, it probably could help. Maybe then we'll clear it up with prayer. Right.
God trusts you. He or she.
Pastor Hobbs, we need prayer this morning.
Yes, we definitely do.
So, if you wouldn't mind, sir.
Of course. Father God, we thank you for your grace, for your mercy, for being all powerful, all knowing, and our constant, perfect source of hope. And we surrender this broadcast, our lives, and our world to you. Be blessed in and through everything that's said and done. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Again, you listen to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. Excuse me. We want to thank our sponsor, The Money Store, for all your mortgage needs. Give branch manager Cora Holbrook a call at area code 508-345-4726 at 508-345-4726. And again, and Cora will be back with us after the holidays and after the election. We were just trying to squeeze in as much political commentary and as we could during leading up to the elections. So she'll be back with us. Also want to thank Cruz Construction for their continued support of the broadcast here, as well as MAMLEO and the MAMLEO leadership. I want to thank the MAMLEO leadership as well as Captain Hussein for the get together there on Wednesday night. Thursday night, I think it was at MAMLEO.
You guys gave out 4,000 bags, I heard? 4,000 backpacks?
MAMLEO's, it was a busy day,
Yes.
Wednesday, Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? Anyway, I'm losing track of the days, but
Sometime earlier this week.
yeah, because there was a lot going on that day. So MAMLEO had the backpack giveaway. They had over 150 people show up the previous week to help pack the bags.
That's good.
And then they had given out over 3,000 bags on this week.
No, and it was like coordinated. Like
here we go again with it was right, but with that said,
the
right,
entertainment versus the educational aspect.
people were there early, lined up,
yep.
right?
Free book bags, free turkeys.
Right.
Wait, time to vote for the election.
Right,
Well, you
right.
guys did a voter
voter
registration there.
Yeah. But
That's
I mean,
good.
it's
How'd
just.
that turn out? Well, like, did people comment? Any
Well, a lot of
feedback?
people say they're registered because they just there for one thing.
Yeah.
So they don't want to be
They don't
bothered
even care
with
about
the bag.
Was there like a way to make it easy? Like, for example, you can use like a
QR
tablet,
code or
iPad,
whatever.
and so
No, you
forth.
can do QR code. You can go online, but the thing is, people just they're there. They have tunnel vision. They want their bag, and they want to.
Get in and out.
Or maybe remind them, hey, like if you're not a fan of your tax bill, make sure you're registered to vote, right? So we do want to remind everyone, right? Today
is the day.
is the voter registration deadline, August 22nd,
Yes.
because our midterm elections and the Massachusetts primary is September 1st. So you do have to register by today, and then your vote, if you're already registered to vote, your vote by mail application deadline is on the 25th by 5 p.m. And the early voting period is August 22nd to the 28th.
which starts today.
Yeah, so if you're not registered to vote, check. It's the deadline's today. If you're not sure if you're registered to vote, again, check. Make sure you're registered to vote.
And
the deadline
also,
is today.
it's not just here in Boston. You can vote throughout the Commonwealth. So you can go
Exactly.
if you Google or go on the Commonwealth of Mass, Secretary of State, just Commonwealth of Mass, period. You can find out where you can vote early today in your town. Most small towns, it's usually a town hall. In my town, it's a town hall. I plan to take advantage of that when I leave here, is to cast my vote. And for the folks who are on the ballot in my community, and folks, you should do the same. We talk about what's wrong. That's one of the ways to try to fix it, right?
Yeah.
It's to hold folks accountable.
Exactly.
Politicians are going to DC to get rich. They're not helping your situation.
Well,
they don't care what party you're in.
And think of all the people. You got to think of all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into those that came before us to give us this right to vote. Yeah. There were so many, like those of us here in this room right now. We have people that came before us where those that look like us did not have that right, right? To cast that vote, to have that voice. And it's so easy for people to be like, oh, just one vote or whatever it may be. You know what? 1 + 1 is 2. You multiply that by, another one and another one, another one. That's a lot of people.
Well, to that one vote you just mentioned a few years ago when City Councilor Mejia,
she won by just one vote.
One vote.
And it does matter. And the
One
thing
vote.
that you mentioned is like the fact that, again, that people, this is a process that they have to go through.
Yeah.
But if this did not matter, why would the people in power be working so hard to make it hard for you to actually cast your vote, stay registered, stay on the ballot,
or even look at remember a while back.
Hold those thoughts, because that's what we're going to get into. I want to just say
we're getting into it today.
No, I want to just welcome.
Yes.
So I just want to.
We're just diving in.
Exactly. I want to say a hearty good morning to T. Michael Thomas and the People's Academy. Good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Harry Scales. Good morning, Brother Jamal, Brother Dicker. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Helen. Good morning, Denise. It was so good to see you the other day at MAMLEO's event this past week. Denise DePina Reed. Yes. So it was nice there. And also, like I said, I know he said he's doing well down there in Indiana. So we'll. Good morning, Brother Bridgeford. Folks is really struggling down there. I was watching the news, and they've been without power. There's been flooding down there. So our thoughts and prayers are with the folks down in Indiana. In Gary, Indiana, specifically, is one of the places that was hit pretty hard. So folks look like they've been without power, some for at least 10 days, and they're saying in some areas they won't get it back if they're lucky until next Tuesday. So, imagine that heat and no way to cook or anything like that. So again, folks, good morning. You are listening to the Roundtable with MAMLEO. It is the first day of early voting here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And, we want to know, are you going to vote, take advantage of the early voting? The primaries are, that's the confusion this year too. There are some folks who are going to be in a primary on September 1st, which the election this year is before Labor Day. And then some elections are decided that day. So people, if you're waiting to vote for your candidate, there may not be a general election for your candidate. For instance, Suffolk County DA's office.
Primary means everything right now.
Whoever wins on
the primary. That's what your choices were made at that primary.
That's the end of
and
it.
Do you want me to read a list? We have a list of all the offices on ballot.
But what I was going to say is the last time the person that came here that was running for Secretary of State, that was something that she emphasized. The fact that if you don't vote in the primary, the choice has already been made in the primary. So again, get out there and get your voices heard.
There are more than 260 positions up for election, ranging from federal to county. And again, primary election is September 1st. So that's next Tuesday.
Right.
Next Tuesday.
And if there isn't which this is a pretty Democratic state with a big D, if there's not a Republican on the race against a Democrat, then it will be decided
right then and there at the primary.
In the primary.
And I'd like to remind our viewers as well that, they can do their part. If they're not, again, like $, or Cash App, $, BPR TV to support our program. But also if they can always like and share the what they're watching and share it with their people on their social media feed, so that way they more people get informed as well. So that way they can amplify our voice here at the Global Church Ministries.
Right. And one thing, I guess last week, Ron Bell was in, Ron, thank you for that personally autographed book, the Black Book.
Yes.
Know Your Right.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too. And I like that they have it in different languages.
Yes.
So,
so exactly if you're like your voter's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Talks about
know your rights.
Know your rights if you get pulled over. Know your rights in regards to voting.
I recognize the Spanish.
Oh, you can. All right. You read Spanish?
Yeah.
I do know. Oh, you do? You keep that one because it don't mean no good.
At one point, I was relatively fluent in it. It was always funny. I actually funny little thing when I was with Boston as a police officer, I actually used my Spanish more than I did my Cantonese, which was always fun.
Wow. All right, folks. So, again, you're listening at the Roundtable with me. The calling number is 617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. It is election day, the beginning of the process. Are you voting? And if you want to share who you're voting for, and if you want to share who you're not voting for and why, we'd like to know. I tell people, if you don't inform yourself and you're just going in and voting on familiarity, a lot of people, and I appreciate they'll call me and say, "Hey, who should I vote for?" And I'm like, man, I could run the slate for months, but that just tells me that they're not plugged in.
No, and it's unfortunate, but the louder, what they say, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Yeah. So the candidate with the most, the biggest coffer, the one that has the TV advertisement or the radio, exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm. Those are the people that people tend to recognize. They do not do their research to find out who or what they're voting for. They just kind of go
who they're aligned with, who do they back. Like when it's more the actions, right? You can always listen to politicians. We've seen them all the time, right? Voting election time comes around, they're stumping and whatnot. They're saying whatever you want to hear. But then what you want to do is look back at their record, right? Look at how they voted in the past, like in their past, also, if they were previously.
Google them and see what their net worth was before they became a politician. And then Google how much it's changed now. And then you really find out who they're working for. Yeah. It's not you, trust me. Yeah. It is not you.
Well, I saw some sort of a post either on a platform, and it basically said your senators should come. You know how like NASCAR racers come with patches for all their sponsors? That's what your senators should come in with, like who's really paying them.
I know, right? If you really could get that, some people would have a pretty long
the Orange
list
Man
there.
has a NASCAR on full display running through Washington D.C. today. I mean, this is what a scam.
Well, and actually, one of the things we were talking about before we even started, we were saying about how just the other night there was a debate, right, Larry? I think you were in attendance.
With the one with Senator Collins, for the first Suffolk. Yeah, it was probably as many people as sitting at this table there were.
No,
but that's the thing.
Very
it's like
attended.
it's and we're thinking of ways that even if any of our listeners, if you have, unfortunately, but at the same time, if any of our listeners, have any suggestions as to how could we make events like that have higher attendance, would that help to have availability via Zoom? Or maybe something where like people can kind of like listen in, submit questions beforehand. Maybe that would be something that we could do more to kind of just get people a little more engaged.
I don't see. This is where I say, you raised some very valid points, but again, MAMLEO didn't have to do all of that to get people to back. All they had to put out there was something free. Right?
But MAMLEO has technically, you got to give them consistency. They've been doing this for how long now? How many
long
years?
have people been voting?
Thank you.
This is MAMLEO's third or fourth annual backpack.
No, I get that.
No, I know what you're saying, right? And I'm not diminishing what MAMLEO has done, but what I'm saying is that there is usually more of an enthusiasm when people think
what has traction. You're saying what has traction,
right? But if you think about it in a different way too, though, it's also them thinking about needs of the kids, right? Like a lot of
but long term needs.
But my point. Let me finish.
Voting isn't for the needs of the kids.
Voting is for the needs of the kids in the long term. But at the same, my thought process here is think about it this way: we have people so concerned about putting food on their table, keeping the lights on, the heat on. The tax bills are going up the roof. Yeah. You have Massachusetts being the second highest in utilities in the country by some reports, after Hawaii, which is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Right. So is that another way? We talked about all the effort that people make so that people can't vote. Exactly. Is that another way to get people even so tied up
that they can't?
That
economically,
it's like mentally, right? Yes. Mentally, if you're so concerned
explain
with the
to me,
physical,
because I'm trying to process what you're saying and make the connection of the people why they show
up for the backpack, right? They don't show up
not to vote.
That. If people are so concerned, right, kind of that old Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if people are so concerned with the physical, right, food, shelter, taking care of themselves, like safety, right, then your mental energy, your energy takes up all that focus.
Yeah.
And you're not able to kind of step out of that and be like, okay,
Let's see the
But
big
Let's see
picture.
the big
But you can
picture.
step out of that to go get the backpack or the turkey
but the
or the
backpack,
toys
but the turkeys
or
is
the
food.
Halloween candy.
It's something
But the-
physical that you
yeah,
can
but
actually
it's
get.
something exactly.
It's
It's
not
like
abstract. It's
but
not something
there's
to
why-
think because when they vote, they voted, but it does not have an immediate
physical,
effect.
yeah.
Well, okay,
Like
so
that's
let's
why
stop
that's why
there.
the used
So
car
let's stop.
salesman.
Let's
Okay, let's stop
stop there because
saying
I,
stop?
Yep.
right. Let's stop there because now I want us to delve into that and process that for people to understand what the importance of, because you said the reason why they're having all of those other issues you just described is because they're not voting. So
But that's what we're trying to get people to understand.
So help us get through it.
So as overwhelmed as they're feeling, right? As overwhelmed as you're feeling, as much as you're trying to think about how am I going to pay this bill or that bill or get my kids to school or make sure that they have what they need. Well, in the long run, that's why it's so important for you to be registered to vote and to vote for those politicians that are actually, hopefully to some degree, going to be behind you and support you and helping you in the long term to help mitigate some of those needs, right? Like to make sure that you aren't overpaying in your taxes, to make sure that your rights are being, are being upheld. And so as important as you may think that, oh, I need to be able to take care of this, that, and the other thing right in front of me. And just like Rhodes put, the long term. If you want to make sure that the long term gets taken care of, that your children have a decent future and infrastructure that they're growing up within, you need to make sure you're registered to vote.
Well,
That's where I'd make that connection.
No, you're right. But I'm saying, I guess that's not conveying down to the people who are impacted the most by this, right? Like those of us, and sadly, there's not a lot, like you said, like, people say, well, why should I care about, property taxes going up? I don't own a home. Well, if you don't own a home and you live in one,
Yeah, exactly. If you
you're
don't see
paying
the
rent,
correlation,
right,
the
that-
taxes are going up
Yeah.
anyway. It's going to affect
Or
you.
even
the
if you're not
landlord's
renting.
the
Yeah.
landlord is going to raise the rent to offset the cost. So
Or even if you're not renting or you don't own a home, if you're living in a home, somebody owns it. If somebody owns it and they have to pay taxes on it, eventually they might just get taxed out to the point where they need to sell, and you won't have a place to live.
right, but
Right?
also,
So
to the point,
if you want to be able to,
we have
it's
a
all
lot
good.
of technical stuff this morning. So the other piece to that, like you said, I don't think people make the connection right when
But that's
we're
what
paying
we're trying to get them.
taxes for people to be incarcerated, right? And we're paying more for that. We're paying higher taxes for people to be in school and not really benefiting from that in the education system, particularly here in the Boston area, right?
So you want your tax dollars to
But
be
people don't see it as theirs because they think it's the cities. It's
But
not
no,
the
it's
cities.
your hard-earned money that they're taking out of your pocket.
Well-
You should have a say in how that is spent.
Well, I think like they
And
said,
that's why you register to vote.
if people if they didn't take your money the way they do, right, automatically take it before you get it, and you had to
actually
send a check
send it in.
every week, right?
That's why the
People have-
IRS has collections.
Exactly, right. They'd have a whole different attitude about that, how that process
Money is
works.
spent, yes.
Exactly. But anyway, let's see who's up early this morning. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable.
I believe it's Jamal. Is it?
Of course, please.
Good morning,
Good
bro.
morning.
Yeah.
How y'all doing?
Good. You're gonna send us some tax revenue?
Yeah, I wish.
He'll make his donation to the radio station.
So one of the things I think is the thing of apathy,
Okay.
right? And so, for instance, if somebody had $10,000 right now and said, Jamal, we want you to name 10 players in the NFL, I couldn't do it because I'm not concerned with it. It's not a world that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, I know nothing about it. And so a lot of people are like that for the political thing. So they're just completely disengaged, apathetic. And then others too. Why don't I do like a lot of my friends? And every time I get a little cash, why don't I buy scratch tickets and play the lottery? Because I'm like, I'm not going to win. So it's just a waste of money. And that's how a lot of people view the voting process. Like, if I vote, if I do, my life is not changing in any, the needle's not moving in any drastic direction. So a lot of people are just really, they either don't care about it, like the sports analogy, or they look at it like the lottery. I vote, but I'm not going to win.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that
Yeah, right. You see the big jackpot and you say, "Hey, what's $2?" Right? Let me just spend $2. So Jamal, I guess because we talk about that.
You just made a very important point. At least they're doing the $2, so at least they're voting in that sense. Okay, we're not voting at all. Like, our voice is not being heard. Okay,
Well,
and then,
hold up. In that analogy, like Larry said, even people who don't do the lottery normally, they see that big jackpot, then they're like, okay, I'll throw my $2.
Exactly.
I'll use that in the voting thing.
Yes.
That's how when somebody like Obama came out, a lot of people got out who would not normally vote. That was the $1 million. That was the $1 million prize.
Right.
You know what I mean? That got people excited and whatnot. And that happens sometimes when, somebody is, exciting enough to electrify a base. I mean, I never thought Deval Patrick would win here in Massachusetts, but that was able to happen. I'll say that was kind of a mini Obama effect before Obama.
Right.
It's difficult, but we have to learn more what motivates folks to, like the psychology of voting.
So to your point, right? There are 2 times in my career, and I was with law enforcement for almost 40 years, right? And I'm a tug of war here. For almost 40 years, and I can tell you twice the times.
I know what you're talking about. The marijuana?
When I showed up in the morning, because I always do the morning ones because I don't want to take the box down in the evening. Twice that people were waiting in line before I got there. The first one was President Obama was running for president, and the second time when it was to legalize marijuana.
But how much of that do you think that it's also part of the kind of like publicity machine, getting the word out, getting people invested? Do you think that it was more of that people were invested in seeing?
I think people treat it, unfortunately, like a one-off or some type of sporting event in the sense, and I know Jamal's analogy was probably, he's not into sports, but I said it because it's like, oh, okay, there's this one thing, and then I go back to doing nothing again, where I'm not going to participate in this process. There's an election every year. Yeah. Every year in the Commonwealth, it's either state, local, or federal.
So, I got it. In the analogy that he used with the lottery, just wanted to make a quick financial point with that. Yeah. All right. As far as
there's no return on that investment.
No, exactly. So, and here's the thing that we call that a voluntary tax on the poor. Okay. Because disproportionately poor people are the ones that are buying the lottery, supporting the lottery, giving it money, but not winning. So
yeah,
right. Because at that point, Jamal, remember when I think they did it by mistake. There was a break-in the store on Humboldt Ave that had $1 million or $2 million ticket, and it was someone stole it out of the store.
Oh yeah, no, I remember.
How did they know it was $1 million ticket?
They didn't know.
No, they know because they know where these tickets are.
Oh, they do.
Oh yeah, they know where
the
lottery commission knows. Exactly. So then when they reported the theft, they checked the serial numbers, and then they found that it was a winning ticket.
They will shut down that whole, like they'll deactivate that whole roll.
Right.
It's almost like
which
when
makes
people
sense.
think that they're slick stealing the gift card.
Right.
And it's like,
it needs to be
activated or deactivated.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, back to the whole point, right? Getting people invested. And I think part of that connection is like, hey, if you're tired of paying those higher taxes, if you're tired of the way your money is being spent, if you're tired of how, the politicians are spending your money, then the way that you are heard is by not only voting, but making sure that you and all of your family and friends are registered to vote.
But besides voting, the problem is with this, the election process. Being active, but the process, or not the process, but the fact that there's some people able to, wear the cloak of incumbency. And where people don't question anymore.
Oh, you mean like they kind of just stick around and then they're like, the name's there.
So people don't even bother to, again, do research to find out how they voted. Because to his point, like Larry says, how did these people vote?
Yeah.
And they never know.
When the time came, right?
Yes.
Did they go with the way that they've been telling you that they would vote? Or did they go with the other person?
Because a lot of times this voting can be a referendum to fire these people, these politicians, but they don't. They just keep.
Well, a perfect example of that now, right? Because people, believe the lies that the orange man told them.
Yes.
Like, believe a lot of these folks that things are going to get better.
Or even the lies that Michelle Wu told them
Right.
before she got elected. She never said
Exactly.
anything about raising taxes. Then all of a sudden, you said what? Your first bill was what? 26% increase?
Exactly. And it's
Okay.
gone up
That's
ever
a
since.
lot.
So, but
But again, go back to your
No. I say all that because what we're seeing now is even with all this now, see, this is why Trump is not intelligent, because he was better off not making voting an issue, because it really wasn't. Right now, these folks are angry because they're seeing, on top of trying to pass bills and doing all this to suppress their vote, they're also seeing how much more things cost for them, right? So he's actually got them paying attention when they weren't. But sadly, when this is over, people will go back to, okay, well, I guess we fixed the problem. I don't have that issue any longer. And they'll go back to the complacency. So, Jamal, how do we, like I said,
I don't know who quoted this, but freedom isn't free.
It's
It
not. It's
It
not.
requires
People have
active
died.
participation.
But that's
Yeah.
the historical component that is missing in unless you're not going to get that in school, because they don't teach civics anymore.
Well, and that's a very good point that you bring up. The fact that you're not going to get that in school. What is the educational system in America doing to actually create citizens?
But that's the problem. If you're waiting for the government to educate and take care of your family, you've already lost.
Yes.
You've already lost.
Yes. If you're thinking the government's going to pay for your retirement, you've already lost.
'Cause,
It's
like,
not going to happen.
Jamal, you have your finger on the pulse, right? Do you see any difference in the attitude? Like, today is the beginning of early voting here in the Commonwealth, right? And it's ironic because I think it wasn't last year, but it was a couple of years ago. We were doing a broadcast on the early voting, and the new edition sign was being dedicated down there, and then people are like, are you going to that? And it's ironic because Jamal, when I spoke to him, he had the same reaction. I'm like, going for what? I said, there'll be more people down there than will be voting, because the Shelbourne Center, which is right down the street from where they were dedicating the sign, there were fewer people in line there, but the streets were just overflowing down there.
So for me, I hate celebrity and hero worship. I really do. So, and two, before I forget, what you just said about freedom ain't free. There's also another good quote about freedom, and it says, "Freedom is a road
Seldom traveled by the multitudes." Yes.
You did. But okay, so with New Edition, for instance, the hero and celebrity worship. I like the songs and the dances, just as much as anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I really look at the tangible things, these dudes have not come back here. There's not a new young kid group.
Nope.
Well, I have not seen them one Sunday helping you out.
You understand what I'm saying? And so, my idea back in the day, and I did try to contact them when I first came back to Boston in 1997, I wanted to have celebrities like New Edition from here, as well as the basketball players and whatnot, to help rebuild the Elmer Lewis School of Fine Arts. You see, that's something to me tangible that could be done. It's in your lane. You're a musician and artist. Okay, step away from that. Now, when all these guys come through, everybody loves Michael Bivins, all the guys, whatever. Biv is around a lot more, and everybody got love for Bobby. Can you imagine if Bobby Brown, New Edition collectively, did a voter registration or voter awareness effort?
Great point.
Imagine Bobby Brown saying, "Quote, it's your prerogative."
Yes. Oh, I love that.
I like
It's your prerogative.
that.
VOTE.
I like that.
They made a sign. Oh, like those songs.
Yeah.
Right.
What do they use? Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, again, what happened to Schoolhouse Rock too? See,
That was always good.
That was too educational. That
But
they had
it
to
was
get rid of
so
it.
catchy, and it would
Yeah.
make it easy for kids to learn, and
yes.
like the whole. And now I'm hearing that song about how like Bill becomes a law.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But I, Jamal, and I'm not trying to, pat myself on the back or anything here, right? But I moved out of the community, but I come back and try to help it.
Mhm.
You do.
These
No,
folks.
Okay, but I'm gonna say,
What are they
like,
doing
no,
to come back
I
in the
do not know
community
what they're
that-
doing.
that they-
But again, they're not the only
If they
celebrities.
were doing it, you would know.
Yes.
So
That is very true.
They do a lot of stuff, but it's generally around basketball. Which is great. But we're not going to dribble our way out of our oppression.
Right.
Well, but at the same time, I think part of it, right? We keep coming back to that same conversation about how do we get people invested, right, and motivated to vote, to register to vote, to to really get. And it's just one day out of the year for you to be able to, for one day out of the year for you to just take a few minutes. And if anything, hey, it's like you can think of it this way. You may have to wait in line. You get to know your neighbors. You get to know other members of your community, right? And then that way, it's like another way for you to get out there for a little bit. Because I think it's, and you can take that time to educate yourself. Read the ballot questions. Google on your phone if you have to.
No, but you really have a valid point. Look at the number of people that showed up for them just for that signed dedication. What if they, one time a year during voter registration, like he says, it's your prerogative to get your voices heard.
So MAMLEO gave out over 3,000, almost 4,000 backpacks this week, right? I guarantee you in our community at the early voting, there won't be 3,000 people. No, they did that in a couple of hours. So we have the same, and actually you have more time to vote today than you do giving out backpacks. So they were there from 12 to 4.
Okay.
Right? So how many people are going to show up today?
And it's a Saturday too. So it's not, majority of people aren't working.
That is true.
So you have
it's a marketing issue though.
Right.
We have to make voting sexy,
right?
Because remember back when I was a kid in the 70s, a stroke of marketing genius, because it was not the product. The product was stupid as all get out, right? But they were able to get people to buy these things by the millions, and it was all due to marketing. What was that product? The pet rock.
Rock, yes.
Right.
You can have a rock. Now, I got rocks in my backyard.
Right.
Somebody
Too
like
many
my
people have
grandma
rocks in their
you better
head.
go in the back and get a rock.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they had millions of people buying this thing, and it was just a rock.
Right.
It didn't do anything. It was just a rock. But they were able to do that with marketing. And it's also the same thing like Jordans. Look at when these new Jordans come out and people mob at the malls and the stores and stand in line for something that every intelligent consumer knows only costs less than $5 to make.
Right. Well,
but they're going to go there and give them $250 for the product.
Well, but also to that point, Jamal, right? The holidays are coming up, right? So we know Black Friday, right? After Thanksgiving, people, the rental malls are perfect. People will be lined up to put themselves in debt, right? They will be sleeping out there, staying out there in their car. And I guess because it goes back to the educational component, right? Is that how do we get people to understand what our folks died for, a right that we just take for granted?
Though I do want to make a note from past numbers. It looks like at least from 2022 to 2024, there was a significant increase in the percentage of eligible voters that actually cast a ballot.
And what was that? What was
so
the
in
increase?
2022, it was 48.8% of eligible voters cast a ballot, whereas in 2024, 68% of eligible voters cast a ballot. So we have been seeing an increase.
Those are presidential years. So it increases generally when there's a more
a national
election cycle. Yeah, either national or Liz Warren or whoever.
Even like this year, Jamal, to your point, it's the governor's on the race, so it's a statewide.
Right.
So that will increase it a little bit. People going in there for that, and then they see, oh, I guess I should, I'll just chuck one of these names here, and the one that says incumbent.
I would bet that those increases are not coming from our community.
No,
I would bet that those increases are coming more from middle Massachusetts or suburbs, what have you. I don't know. I would love to see increases in voting in our community, what those numbers are, just because I think people are just so apathetic.
I remember, to the point, Jamal, I remember one year I was looking at it was a state rep, and it was a race that, and the winner won with 750 votes. 750 votes in a community that had over 30,000 eligible voters.
But that's again
750 votes.
Another reason why we want to remind our listeners that, hey, your vote can count. 750. You divide that among, think of how many people are in your street. Think of how many people are in your neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
750.
But Jamal, we go back to what we were
lot.
talking about earlier. Julia Mejia's race, right? It was close. They had a recount, and she came out by one vote. By one vote.
So your vote can count.
And I voted for her. So, I've made the joke privately with a lot of people because, God bless her as a person and all that. but I would never vote for her again. I haven't voted for her since that first time.
So you don't want to push her over the top.
Yeah, exactly. That's always been the joke. But I know a lot of people who voted for her, so we were all that one vote. Like, so I know at least 25 votes that she got or whatever it is. And to me sometimes too, that's also unfortunate. Oh yeah, to Helen's point that she just made about get your block or whatever. This is kind of part of the delusion in my own brain, which made me think I was going to beat Tito hands down because I know everybody. You know what I mean? So I had all the old school, my mother's friends, my grandmother's friends. I had my young people, the whole thing, the block, and and I'm just more everything. But Tito, as an entrenched politician, doing the actual thing that results in votes, because I beat him in the debates. I'm certainly more handsome and all this type of thing. But when it came down to election day, he got like 6,800 votes, almost 7,000 votes, and I got almost 700 votes.
Wow.
Right. And you talk to more people than that, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Pastor Hobbs has something he wants to say.
Yeah, just want to say, so it's about, people, it's not, it's people who actually show up at the polls, right? So regardless of whether you engage, those people have got to actually cast the ballot, right? With that said, I also want to lift up those who are incarcerated because we often forget about them. And people who are incarcerated actually are especially qualified and can participate via absentee ballot. And this is a voting block that can really make the difference, right? Because so many people on the outside are apathetic, and those who are behind the wall clearly understand the urgency of having people, we have to make that connection because sometimes they don't. Like the district attorney race is really important. The governor's council that picks judges, right? I didn't even know that. All across the Commonwealth, there's pardons, commutations, picks us on the parole board. Like the education that connects it to them, that makes people whom were not engaged or didn't care before, right? Now, when they understand the education and how that directly impacts them and their loved ones' lives, right? Then they're civically engaged. And so that is a voting block that I want to encourage who I know is tuned in, right? To also exercise your right to vote. And those who've been incarcerated who are now free need to know this because many people think I have a record, I can't vote. That's not true. Once you're released from incarceration, even if you have a felony conviction, your rights are immediately restored. The only way you are not allowed to vote in Massachusetts if you're presently, operative word, presently serving time for a felony conviction. If you're waiting pre-trial, which many people are, if you're serving a misdemeanor, you can vote. If you have a felony and you serve time, you're on probation, on parole, you can vote. So this is a voting block, a huge voting block.
So remind them. So who cannot vote?
People who are presently serving time for a felony
and that's
conviction.
It.
That's it.
That's it. So if you are not presently serving time for a felony conviction, you have a right to vote. And if you are not registered, today, August 22nd, is the deadline to register to vote. And make sure you use your time to educate yourself on who the candidates are and leverage that right to vote.
And I'll say we go to the Nashville County Jail every Monday night. So we'll be there this Monday night, which will be the final opportunity.
Oh, where and when?
That will be the Nashville County Jail from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We do that every Monday night, and every Friday we go to South Bay.
Hey, Hobbs.
Yes, sir.
Let me give you an idea, brother.
Okay.
As you have seen lately, a lot of the brothers who just got home, among them, my cousin Sean Ellis, but brother Fuquan, Stephen Pina, all these people have been doing these endorsements for Rachel Rollins, right? I think you should ask them to do a similar thing just for voter awareness and registration for folks who are, returning citizens and or those who are currently still locked up in South Bay who are not, currently serving for a felony. But I think if you can get some of those same voices on a voter campaign, I think that would be powerful.
That's a really good idea, I think.
It's a great idea, and one I will definitely pursue. In fact, I had the opportunity to be at the Life After Prison event where Michael Curry, who's the founder of that organization, and many people who were directly impacted were being recognized.
Not old NAACP.
No, sir. No, sir.
Michael Curry, who was formerly incarcerated.
Yes, sir.
I just want to be clear for the
Absolutely, two different Michael Currys. So we're talking about Michael Curry, the founder of Life After Prison, formerly incarcerated, his wife Patrice Alves. They have a whole organization that's doing a lot of incredible work about mentoring people who are been formerly incarcerated and their life after prison.
See, what I hear you guys talking, and I like that, is that there needs to be more collaboration, right? This is like people who, it would be powerful, right? Because I would be willing to position someone like myself, former law enforcement, partnering with people who are formerly incarcerated. This isn't about the crime or anything they did, but how can we work together on such an important issue of getting people not just registered? Because even when we had the motor voter registration, people were registered, but they weren't executing and following through with actually voting. Jamal, you can count me in on that. With Pascal, how do we get people?
Yeah, I like to help out on that aspect as well.
That's when the 1+1 math comes in, right?
Yes,
you're going to vote. Knock on a neighbor's door. Call up a friend. Be like, hey, I'm gonna go over and cast my vote. You want to come with, right? 1+1 is 2. Add another 1, right?
Yeah.
Each one of us can make a difference. If we're saying that one vote counts, well, you and another friend or a neighbor or a family member be like, hey, I'm gonna go cast my ballot. Are you gonna come?
Yeah.
And if each one of us took just one other person with us,
it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Safety in numbers.
With the ideas, so just as we've been, online here, and that came to my brain for Hobbs. The other thing we just talked about with New Edition. Well, y'all know a gentleman who just got honored recently, the one who was kind of the brains behind New Edition. Brooke Payne. Are y'all aware of him?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I went to school with his nephew, Wayman Payne. That's my man. So, and he goes on tour with him all the time. I always joke because I'm like, you've been on tour with him for over 10 years and you still don't know none of the steps. But I just hit him up on Facebook because now that idea about, Bobby Brown saying, to vote, it'll be too late for this cycle.
Right.
But for future voting stuff, I hope to now get that done because I just reached out to my guy and hopefully he'll hit me. We can get, Bobby Brown, like I said, vote my prerogative. What's the other song they had? The big song.
What,
Can
you know what,
stand the
Jamal?
rain?
You're right. Right. Can you stand the pain? Right.
Taxes.
Vote.
And then recent news, cameras. They're trying to find more ways to find people.
But see, Jamal,
with noise cameras.
I think that if they do something like that, it should be kind of like that "We Are the World" type of thing, right? Where you have a genre of people from different backgrounds from the community coming together, so it doesn't look like it's just a New Edition, right? But addition, not just New Edition, and bringing folk, because people say, oh, okay, because not everybody may not recognize, but they may see someone in that video that they can connect with, right? That they said, okay, in this collaboration, because the We Are the World was because they were trying to help a cause. We're trying to help a cause. We need to have all hands on deck. Let's grab this other call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable.
Yes, good morning. This is T. Michael.
Hey.
That's our dude.
T. Michael.
Yes, thank you. A couple of things. As a registered voter, a person who votes religiously, for a person who's been paying taxes for over 30 years, right? Property taxes, etc. There is not one politician.
I'm glad you clarified that because the IRS was knocking on your door.
No. I've been paying taxes for the last 30 years. Property taxes plus. So the point I'm making is why folks aren't excited about by just coming out to vote. Because when you do that report card, like you said, Larry, and for a person in my position, not one of them sitting in office is supporting me that came to the table with my own funding, went through a process to get land, to build a facility, to create jobs and opportunity, to address the wealth gap, the income inequality. Not one of them will stand up and say, hey, you know what? This man did all of this stuff even when we didn't support him financially or otherwise. At least get the mayor who's on tape saying, oh, this program is such a great thing for the community. Well, sign off. And for those elected officials, you don't have to like T. Michael personally, but at least sign off so it can help the community. So this is why.
Well, but see, but T, right? But this is
they're running on.
Right.
Look at what they were. Look at what they were all running on.
Right.
Affordable housing.
Right.
What about affordable home ownership? What about addressing the wealth gap, income inequality?
Well, no,
Public
T.
safety.
Michael, let me just jump in because I don't disagree with anything that you've said, but this is the problem: is that people don't see how it impacts them personally, right? And we can't get them to buy into it collectively. They can change this. We vote for one mayor, but the mayor needs tens of thousands of votes to get elected. But those tens of thousands of people don't hold these folks accountable, and then they act like once they're installed in there that they can't be removed because we're afraid to change our mind. Say, hey, you know what? We're going to hit the reset button. You didn't give us what you promised, so we're going in a different direction. That's where we have to build that momentum up. Look, if the power of the tens of thousands of votes is way powerful than the mayor is, and people have it wrong. They look at it from the wrong lens, that the mayor is the most powerful person. The president, no, the president gets elected by the people. And if the people decide they don't want to go in that direction anymore, that's why this country is in the way it is, because people decide, oh, this is a great idea. Now they're realizing it's not as good as they thought it was. But that's the dynamic I'm trying to figure out how we focus, because if we focus on what the politicians aren't doing, it's a lost cause, because we have to focus on the people who are electing them and getting them to get them to change their mind.
Well, I agree, because when we do a report card, the last 10 years, things have gotten worse for folks in our community.
Right.
Let's be honest. It has gotten worse.
But these people keep getting reelected. That's the disconnect I'm trying to bring.
And again, yeah, Larry, like you make the point, right? If those of you that are listening, you feel that things are getting worse, or you know that things are getting worse, you can tell things are getting worse. A big part of that is who we have in these seats. Who are these politicians that we elect?
Insanity.
Yes, and we continue to vote on people's race because they look like us. We continue to vote for familiarity because of their names. Or because when they walk into public spaces, oh yeah, let's do a photo op, or the meet and greet. No. We have not looked at other communities. Why is it that our community within the Commonwealth and within the country that it's at the bottom of the barrel? Because we're not holding our elected officials accountable.
That's why they say you get the government. That's why they say you get the government you deserve.
So T. Michael, can I ask you something? Oh, no, I was going to say, T. Michael, so if you were to talk to a neighbor or a friend or a family member who was on the fence about voting, say they're already registered to vote, right? Because again, today's the last day to register to vote. How would you convince them why it is important for them to vote? If you were to talk to them, maybe you can give us some inspiration to our listeners.
And just to piggyback on what Helen is saying, you cannot get them to be interested in the People's Academy if they're not interested in their own, because the voting component would uplift them, and they're not even willing to go out and vote in their best interest. It's hard to get them to focus on, sadly, something as important as what you're trying to do. That's where the frustration for me comes in.
So that's why I'm curious to hear, T. Michael, like if you were to talk to a family member, a neighbor, a friend, and to convince them why it is so important for them to cast their vote, what would you say? And
we've got about 3 minutes before we have to take our break. So
what I say to them, first of all, a few of them call me, who should we vote for? Do they support CPA? That's the first question they ask. Do they support the program? And I say to them, when you see every elected official, or when you see your neighbor or friend, you tell them, when you see a politician, if you're not supporting the People's Academy, we're not voting for you, and we're going to work against you. And that's what I tell them. It's necessary to vote, but it's also more important to tell folks, when you see your elected officials, you tell them why you're voting for them. It's to better your life and your community, and stick to that.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, that's a good way to do it.
Jamal, your comments on what T. Michael said?
Well, one, he said TPA. I thought he was talking about TPS. You know what I mean? But yeah, the People's Academy. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we got a lot of issues, and people make decisions and they make choices. And not for nothing, it's like a deal with the devil a lot of times.
Yes.
There were people that I voted for that, I don't support, whatever. If there's 100 things, I might support them on, 40, but not 60. But those 60, I might say, okay, I could live with that 60 because these 40 are real important. So it's always a kind of a give and a take, and it's tough to determine the motivating factors of how people vote, because a lot of us too have just gotten over because they're popular with the people, and they are faced with no accountability, no measurement or criteria for their success.
Right. So Jamal, to your point, because something you said a little earlier, right, about how when people kind of encourage you, you thought it was a good thing to vote to run, right? And I've had people say that to me and others, right? But I also know that these same people will not support it in a way, right? Because it's sad. I see a lot of people out there doing the work, people like Team who would be good, right, in these offices because they have the right mindset, but they couldn't get elected to save their life, and yet we have people who aren't doing the work.
I had a lot of support. I had endorsements from the who's who of the old school black leadership, all my mentors, Sarah Ann Shaw, Senator Owens, you name it. So I had plenty of support. I didn't have plenty of voters.
Right. That's right. But that's the connection, is that people don't, like probably some of the same people who you've delivered food to and whatnot, right? And not saying that they owe you anything, but I guess when I see people doing the work, and then even when they attack those folks for doing the work, the folks just remain silent.
Tito won in every single one of the senior buildings that I fed. Eggleston Round Tower, he won. He won in the the Academy Council Towers, and then MLK. He trounced me. He beat the daylights out of me.
But that's what I'm talking about. When people talk about, go out there and throw your hat in the ring, go out there and be the sacrificial lamb, because the work you do, but they don't come out and support you to get that. Because that would send a very
Do you think it's that disconnect? Do you think it's because they don't realize how important it is that when they make their vote?
Familiarity. I think once you get elected, unless you decide not to, tell me the last time an incumbent has lost a seat.
Hey, can I chime in right there?
Yeah.
About that? I'm someone, and I'm going to keep it real, and I've said it before. I supported Jamal. I still would to this day. The thing is, Jamal is the person, and I'm not speaking for him, but from my perspective, he's the type of person who will go in there with his spine unapologetically and do the people's work.
That's why he won't get elected.
There is a hidden group within the city and within City Hall that cannot have someone like him in office because he would rattle the establishment. That's my
gentlemen, hold on. We're going to take our break because we're going to continue this. T, can you hold on?